Now, we need to think about employee empowerment. Who can do what? Who is allowed to do what? What are they supposed to be doing? So, if they are going to have a responsibility, we need to give them the authority to carry out that responsibility. If they're going to interact with customers, well, or do anything, I suppose, they need training and they need knowledge. So now we've added a layer of training. They already needed to know our product. They already needed to know the competitors' products, so they know what the options are. They need to know the options outside of competition, like what if I don't do anything, or what if I do something completely different? Now they need to understand how we work through this e-commerce system. Who reports to what, to who says this is what your performance level was, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And one of the ways we do that is we define key performance indicators. What are the things that are most important? Those 5 to 7 things you can put on a dashboard or a dial that indicate how well we're doing. We'll do that across our e-commerce, because we're certainly going to look at things like our various acquisition costs, our costs per conversion, what kind of response or engagement we're getting with different communications. So some of the challenges with that is the job function. What do they do normally? How do they deal with exceptions? How do they deal with problems? Their skills and ability, understand the product, understand the customer, understand competition, and we get what we reward. If we reward nothing but sales, we can run into a satisfaction problem. We want to be careful. It's not just sales, it's not just margin. It includes referrals, it includes repeat business, and how we build something that says, okay, I'm actually rewarding you on what I told you was the important thing I want you to do. You had the power to do it, and I want to make sure that you are able to do it and do it well and track you fairly. Okay. We're going to have a quick discussion here on customer experience versus online. I'd like to get some ideas from people, and this is something where you can put something in chat or raise your hand. Andy Heiss will call on you. And we're really interested in, between traditional and today online, what surprised you, that changed the most, what changed the least, what were some of the key opportunities or challenges that you found, and let's
One comment in the chat: current online seems to be less customer specific. How can businesses create more personality and service online?
Well, one of the things that effective businesses are trying to do is to get a customer to buy from you by default. And so building systems that make it easy for people to buy is pretty important. I think Amazon is leading the way on a lot of that. It's very easy to buy something again. They do a pretty good job of saying people who bought this also bought that. But I think you've got a good point that it's just, they just hope that you will search around. And I think the idea here is to make it to where, well, let's think of it like customer service or like customer cards, where maybe your grocery store, you have one, or a loyalty card. You'll only keep so many in your wallet. And mentally, you're only going to keep so many applications or so many websites you regularly go to. And how do you build something where they say, you know what, it's not worth the time, it's not worth the consideration to go somewhere else. I just want to go to yours. So I think being relevant with your offers and making it as simple and automatic and quick as possible. If I have to re-enter my address and everything else every single time, that slows down a lot.
Another comment from Natasha: for my work, if I have a true description, it really does make it easier to sell. I took off my e-commerce and it impacted sales. So I think that means a description of the products or services.
Yeah, copy is king. Yeah, it's how you describe it and explain the benefits as well as specifications. Like the other day, I was shopping to buy a floor jack, like using your garage lift up the car. And I must have looked at 6 of them, and not one of them said how high it would lift. It's like, well, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. Another comment here, make sure that online services that are activated and used by the customer without interaction with the business are error-free.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to think it's fully automated and then come to find out it's not. Online is now flooded with advertising and knowing your target market and how it jumped on me.
And one of the things that it's flooded with too in advertising is remarketing, where somebody looks at something on your site and then the ads follow them around. And that's typically one of the best returns on investment out there. That's why you see it a lot. But there is some work to do to get that set up. There is some management. So you spend actually very little with Google or Facebook or whomever to run that, but you do a lot of work setting up the campaign. So that's one of those build yourself versus write a check thing that's changing.
People still like doing business eye to eye. We offer both in-person and online options. Online hasn't destroyed us regardless of predictions.
Yeah, people like the option. Yeah, and really, if you have online and face-to-face, you should sell more to the individual customer on the average.
Found that there was a lot more I could do virtually from my office that I wasn't utilizing effectively before. Nothing like forced adoption, right?
Yes.
Using Zoom, for example, using Zoom for client meetings and reviewing their financials before, or has been way more effective and cut down on wasted time traveling, starting and stopping tasks. Yeah. For clothing, dressing rooms, mirrors is a big difference than buying online. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the product matters in that too. I mean, like, for example, I like to buy Carhartt clothes, but I know they don't size the same style to style. So unless I bought that style and that size, I can't buy it online. And so that's actually kind of a downer, and I'm sure a lot of folks in this seminar could tell us a lot about that problem. But
here's an interesting question. With the flood of advertising, won't jumping into the mix dilute my impact and possibly hurt my reputation? Well,
I think it depends how you jump in. I mean, if you're trying to do something that is a benefit to the customer, you're sticking to features and benefits, and you're sticking to simple, appropriate human communication, I think you need to be there to be competitive. So it's really a question of, does this ad make sense? And when the customer sees it, do they say, oh, I see why that was a good ad. I mean, I see why they targeted me, even if they're not interested that day. It's kind of same old rule of sales we've always had. I mean, don't make a sales call on a customer that when you're done, the customer doesn't understand why you called on them. And it's okay if they weren't ready to buy that day, but if they at least think it was, worth their time, you're fine.